Hey everybody, it's Paul Stevens here from iGo Sales and Marketing. Today we're going to do an episode on how to set up your custom quote form in SuiteCRM. As a bonus, I'm going to set up a couple products as well so that you'll have an idea of adding a product and then also adding a product to the quote. So let's get started. Okay. So you will find let's set up some products first. You'll find your products in the main menu here. If you're familiar with how to reconfigure the menus, you can add it wherever you want, but you'll definitely find it here. So I'm going to go to products. And let's set up a couple products. Let's just say, I don't know, we sell light bulbs, for example. Okay. So I'm going to create a product. And let's say LED light bulb, 10 watts. Okay. I can assign a part number if that makes sense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can set up a product category. This makes sense if you have lots of products. If you have 4 or 5 products, probably not a big deal. But if you have, let's say 30 or 40 products, later on when you're going to add them to the quote, it can get, quite difficult to find the right product you want quickly. But if you categorize them, you can just sort of search by the category and get the ones you want easily. So let's do that here. I'm going to search for existing categories. There aren't going to be any. So what I can do is, you'll see in my main menu here, product categories. I'm just going to right click and open up a new tab, and I can add a product category. So let's create a product category. Let's call it light bulbs. Okay, and then I can put a description of that category here. You can also make parent categories and then subcategories kind of thing. But for these, we'll just make a parent category of light bulbs. That's it. So I'm going to save that. I'm going to add one more category here, and you'll see why later. But I'm going to add another one. And let's call this installation services. And I will save that one as well. Okay, so if I view my product categories here, you'll see I have 2 categories now: installation services and light bulbs. So I'm just going to switch back to my creating the product that I was on. So now I can put this light bulb into a category, and I can say it's a light bulb. And later on, you'll see it makes it easier to find things. You can keep track of cost and price. So let's say this light bulb costs $1 and we sell it for $2. Okay. You can put a contact as well associated with the product. That's kind of optional. But if there's I don't know, maybe you have a product expert or something, you can add that in. The description here is what will appear on the quotation or invoice later on. So you might want to put in 10 watt LED I don't know what the 400 lumens brightness, and so on and so forth, whatever makes sense for your product. And then the other thing here is this is a good or a service, and again, this makes it easier for you to sort things. This is a good, obviously, and I'm going to save it. So let's just add one more light bulb, and then I'm going to add an installation service as well, which will you'll see what happens when we get to the quote. So I'm going to just create one more. I'm going to say a 20 watt light bulb. Let's say incandescent. 100 watt light bulb. Product code, who knows. Product category, I'm going to pick these are light bulbs as well. And it's a good. and cost is 50 cents, and price is $3. Okay, very bright, incandescent, 100-watt bulb, 1000 lumens, whatever your description is for your product. So I'm going to save that. So now I've got 3 products. I'm going to do one more. Let's say you also do installation services, and I'm just doing this to show the difference. Some people sell goods and some people sell services. So the best way to do services is, especially if you do the same service over and over again, like in my business, I like design a website is a service, and I have different sizes of websites and different prices for those sizes of websites, kind of thing. So one way to do it is when we get to the quote, you can add like a service and then just write out what the service is and put a charge in. But it makes it easier if you have a standard list of services that you can select as a product sort of thing. So again, you'll see later on what makes sense and maybe what is better for your business, but I'm going to do both products and services. So let's say this is light bulb installation. Okay, and then we're going to put this in the installation services category, and this is a service, and part number, let's say there's no part number because it's a service. Cost is $100, and we sell it for $150. Okay, so I'm gonna save this. Before I do, you can also put product images if that makes sense. I don't personally use product images when I'm doing quotes and things, but you can put a product image in, and then when you're designing your quote template, you could pop in the product image if you wanted to. So I'm just going to save this and take a look at our products, and you'll see that we have light bulbs, incandescent light bulbs, and we have the installation, the LED light bulb, and the incandescent light bulb. Okay, so now let's set up our quote, and I did this because after we set up the quote, we're gonna actually do a quote and add some items to it. Okay, so I'm going to open up another tab here so we can switch back and forth. Actually, I don't need the products category tab anymore, so I'm just going to go to PDF template. So this is how you do your quote template. Okay, and you can see this is a demo installation, so I don't have any, so I'm going to create one. Okay, there we go. So you get kind of like a general builder to create a template, but if you were to create a quote template like from scratch, starting from zero, it can get, it's a lot of work and can get quite complicated. So what I like to do is I like to load one of the samples they already have. So let's just get started by calling this a name. We'll say light bulb. And you may have multiple different PDF forms for quotes. So for example, in my business, I do SuiteCRM installations, which has a quote that's specifically designed for that. I do website design. I have a quote designed for that with its own terms and conditions and things. I have logo design, that kind of thing. So it's perfectly acceptable to do multiple different kinds. This one here, I'm just going to type as a quote. And I'm going to load in a sample quote to start with, and it just makes everything so much easier. So what I'm going to do here, there are 2 types of quotes, and I want to explain the difference. There's a quote which basically you can just have a bunch of line items. So in this case, that might be useful. I would just have light bulb 1, light bulb 2, and maybe an install line item, and I'm done. It works simple. But if you have more complicated quotes, like, I keep referring to my business, but I may have like, one project is a logo design, and then the next project is a a website design, and then maybe a SuiteCRM installation. So I don't want to just lump all that together in one list. What I'd like to do is break it out into, you know, project 1, project 2, project 3. So I generally go with the group, quote, and that's what that allows you to do. Now you don't have to use groups. Essentially it's really this one with the option of using groups. So if in doubt, this is generally the better one to use. So I'm going to use that one. Okay, let me just move myself out of the way here. So you can see we have it like mostly all set up for us. You know, you can customize this the way you want. The first thing you're probably going to want to customize is putting in your own logo here. So the best way to do that is kind of get rid of the one that's there. Okay. And then use your photo editor here and insert a photo. So it's going to ask you for an image URL of where it's going to get the image from. So the easiest way to do this, if you already have a website, is just go to your website, and here's mine, and find your logo, and this is with Google Chrome. Right click on it, and you'll see here you don't want to copy the image, you want to copy the image address. Okay, so I'm just going to copy the image address, and then where did my box go? There it is. I'm just going to paste that back in there like that. Paste. Okay, and then it's automatically going to pull in the size of the image that's original, but you can change that up if you want. If you want it to be, I wouldn't generally make it bigger because you're going to get pixelation, but if you have a larger image and you want to make it smaller, you can absolutely do that with the image sizing here. And I'm going to say I want the alignment to be left. And again, you can do whatever options you want. You can put borders around it. You can put some vertical or horizontal padding around it if you want. I'm just going to insert it as it is, so make it easy. So there we go. There's my logo. So the next thing, you know, maybe I want to do is make the background all the same color as my logo here, which is this black color. Pretty simple. I'm going to show you a little tool here that I have in Chrome, and it's Color Picker. It's an add-on. You can install it. So I'm just going to copy the code here, and then I don't need it anymore. But I'm going to go into the row properties here. I can remember which one it is. Table row properties. There we go. And I am going to set the background color to be that. May have to put the number sign in front of it. Let's see. Okay, and there we go. There's my black color, and I'm going to update. So there we go. There's my header all set up. And again, if you wanted to like put a another column here, you can. It's just like kind of like Microsoft Excel. If you use it, you can split rows, insert columns, that kind of thing. Just a word of caution, I would save often because sometimes you do some of this stuff and it messes up the whole thing. So the next thing I might want to do is put my address in. So I'm going to put in here, like IGO sales and marketing, my address, my phone number, kind of thing. If I want to make that bigger, hopefully you should know how to use a text editor, but you can change the formatting here. So I've just changed that to a heading 2, which is a bigger size. You can also change font families and font sizes and all that kind of stuff. For the sake of simplicity, I'm not going to go into all the options, but you can play with that. So this is a quote. I generally like to change that. I'm going to call it, proposal for lighting services or something. Okay, just so it's descriptive as to what it's not only a quote but what you do. You'll also find here that most of everything else is filled in for you. So you've got the the billing account name, so that's going to be your customer, the street, the city, postal code, all that stuff. You're going to have your name in here when you create a quote. The quotation date, so it's already set up to do that. You don't have to really do a lot more here to customize the quote, but of course you could. One thing that I do like to do here in this description, this is the product description. So if I flip back to my products here for a second, it will show, oh, I didn't put a description in that one. It will show this product description by default. And the problem with that is sometimes you want to overwrite that because maybe it's a incandescent 100-watt light bulb, but this customer has a special, I don't know, blue shade added to it or something. And if you were to change that in the quote, it would just show this every time and not show the overridden one. So the field that I like to use here, and here's how you insert fields. So I want to go, you can choose it from either the quotes or the line items or the products or the services. I want to go to the quote, I think, and I want the, do I have the item description here? No, okay, so I want to go to the line items, products, and I want, description, is that the one I want? Product, quotes, item, description. Yes, that's the one I want. So you can see that the code for this one is slightly different. It's not the product description, it is the products on the quotes item description, which is what I prefer. So I'm just going to delete that here and I'm going to paste that one in there. Okay, so what that's going to get me is, if I modify the description when I create a quote, it will show me the modified description instead of like the default description. If you were to, if you're familiar with the studio portion of SuiteCRM, if you were to add custom fields and that kind of thing, you could also populate it this way. I don't know, maybe you have a field, the customers in the EU. I just had one recently. You could add a field for the VAT number, and then you would be able to find the VAT number here and add the VAT number in. So that's a basic customization. You can put stuff in the header if you like, or anything in the footer. You can customize that down here. Your margins. The top, bottom, left, right, header margins to configure that. I'm going to leave it pretty much as is. For most cases, this works very well. The only thing I'm going to change here is the page size. So I want this to be a letter as opposed to A4. Okay, so I'm ready to save this because I don't want to do any more customizations, but hopefully you've seen the possibilities, and if you do want to do more customizations to your quote, you can do that. So I'm just going to save that, and now I have a light bulb quotation. Okay, so let's say now that I have my template, I'm ready to prepare a quote for a client. So you can go into, and again you can arrange this. I usually like to have quotes under my sales menu, but again this is just a demo installation. So go to your quotes, and I'm going to create a new one. Create, and this is going to be light bulb quotation, and you can put if it's linked to an opportunity, I would select the opportunity that it's linked to, and then it's always easy to find right from the opportunity. The quote stage, so this is a way for you to manage your quotes. So when you go back and maybe have 40 or 50 of these things open, you know that some are in draft stage, some are in negotiation, delivered, they're on hold, they're confirmed, they're accepted, or they're lost, or they're dead. Okay, so generally when I do a new quote, I leave it as draft, I send it to the client, I change it as delivered, or you can do that all in one step. Okay, so the invoice status, obviously it's a quote, it's not invoiced yet. The payment terms, you can choose what you like. If you want to customize payment terms, and maybe I'll do another video on this next week, but you can go into Studio and add to the pick box different, maybe net 45 or 210 net 15 or something like that, whatever makes sense. And then you'll have those available here, but I'm just going to use net 15. And I am going to say it's valid until 4/11. That makes sense, but if you wanted to change that, you could absolutely, change the validity period. So the next thing we want to do is, who is this quote for? Pick an account. So I'm going to just pick this one. And then the contact, who is the contact it's going to. And it's nice in that it only shows you the contacts from the account that you picked. I'll just pick one guy here. And then you'll see it populates in all the street, city, all that kind of stuff, populated automatically. You can choose the currency. I only have one currency set up, but if you had multiple currencies set up, you could do that. Now, because I have, I want to do groups here, so I can add a group. So I'm going to call this, let's say products. Okay. And then in that group, I'm going to add a product line. So I want, let's say 50. And then I can choose the product. So a couple ways you can do this. If you don't have very many products, it's real easy to do. Just start typing and it'll pick one that's close. If you have lots of products, that's going to be really hard to do. So what you can do is just click here on your pick, and here's where you can use your search options to find the products you want. I'm gonna pick the 10-watt LED light bulb here. Okay, so here's that description that I was talking about. So because it pulls in the default, if I change this and I hadn't made that change to the quote, it'll just show this default definition every time. But because I changed it to use what's actually on the quote, I can custom blue tint, let's say. Okay, so now that will show on the quote. The notes can show on the front if you change your quotation and add the note field there. Otherwise, the notes are just internal. Maybe you want to have a note here about what kind of blue tint it is internally if you do get this order, how to process it. So you'll see I've got 2 light bulbs. The list price is $2. If you want, you can put in a discount for the client or not. You can put in the a different sales price if you want. And then I'm going to select tax. So I haven't set it up here for tax in Ontario, Canada, but let's say it's 5%. I'll pick that. So you'll see now that my total down here, I've got the items, I've got any discounts, the subtotal, and the tax, and then the grand total. Okay. So let's add another product to this. We're going to do 100 of the incandescent bulbs. Okay. Let's pick the product. There we go. And we're gonna make sure we add tax to those as well. Okay, so you'll see my product group total is updated. So now let's add another. Maybe the client has the option of whether they want us to do the install or not. So I mean, I could just add another service line that says installation, but for that kind of thing, I like to break it out. So I'm gonna add another group. So I'm gonna say install services. Okay, and what that does is it breaks it out separately on the quotation. So you have one group that has its own total and everything for line items, and then another one for the services. So there's a couple ways you can add services. Okay, and I set up one way as a product. So I'm going to add in the light bulb installation for $150. Okay. And that's an easy way to do it. I like to do it that way because then you have all your predefined services. But maybe you have a business that doesn't have very specific predefined services. And maybe in this case it's something extraordinary. You could just add a service line and say like, electrical work. And another $100, okay? And make sure you add the tax. And you'll have a group here now for the light bulb installation plus the electrical work. And that's really it to entering a quote. It's super easy once you've got it all preset up. So I'm just going to save that. Okay, so now we're gonna check it out, see what it looks like from the PDF template that we created. So I'm going to print it as a PDF. Now you have options here. You can email it to your client as a PDF. I normally like to print it as a PDF first, just to see what it looks like and make sure it's all correct before I send it. But you could just as easily click and boom, it opens up the email dialog and you can send it right to the client. I'm going to just print it as a PDF right now. And so there's my custom quote that I set up. You'll see my header, my background, the business name that I added in. I changed the proposal lighting services. I didn't change a whole lot of this stuff, but you can see here I have product groups now. So I have products, and they're all grouped together with their own total. And then I have install services, and they're all grouped together with their own group total. So in this case I got a bit of an issue in that it's breaking the pages, so you might want to mess around with your quotation, maybe put a page break in here in the PDF template. I'm not going to go into customizing this any further. Just I'm trying to give you guys a feel for how to do this kind of thing. But you could just go in and add a page break in between the groups, and then each group would have its own page. And probably you might have some text to put down here, like terms and conditions and stuff like that. And that's easy to add in the template as well. You just cut and paste it in, and it'll appear there. So really that's how simple it is. And once you've set it up once, pretty much every time, as soon as you enter a quote, it generates this stuff automatically. Some other things, maybe you don't do discounts. You can just eliminate that column and it won't show it. So for the sake of we're here anyway, I may as well just show you that really quickly. So let's just go back to our quote template. PDF templates. We'll go back and edit this one, and let's just click on here, edit. And if we don't want the discounts, I'm just going to click on this column and delete column. Boom, it's gone. So it's really easy to just do that. At the end here, let's say I want to add some terms and conditions. I'll just show you really quickly since we're here. Conditions, ... and you can maybe make that a title. So I'm just going to double click. I'm going to make that, let's say H2, which makes it big. And then I'm going to, add terms here, kind of thing. That's about it. All I need to do now is save it, and then when I regenerate my quote, I'll go back to that there and just show you. I will just print as a PDF, and you'll see that my discount column is now gone, and I have my terms and conditions down here. So I mean, the possibilities are really endless, but that just gives you a feel, hopefully, for how to add products, how to add them to quotes, how to create quotes, and how to create your own PDF templates. As I said, you can also email these directly to the client right from here. I don't have email set up in this test installation, but you would just basically click email. Hopefully this doesn't crash. So basically, yeah, it's going to tell me that I don't have an email account set up, but that's okay. So I have my email template here, and the file is already attached. If I was to, you know, basically just fill in the rest of the fields, like, you know, here's your quote. Or if I had a template set up, I could use that, and then just send it, and the client will get that quotation as a PDF. It makes your life a lot easier in order to prepare and send quotes on a regular basis, and also manage them. So if I go into all my quotes here, actually these ways probably from here, view, oh no, I got rid of it. Let's see, quotes. I have a terrible time finding things in here. There we are. Okay. So there's the quote I just did, but you would get a list of all your quotes, and you can see the quote stage here is draft. In terms of managing your quotes, you know, this one, now that I just sent it, it's really easy just to double click it and change it to delivered. But you can see the possibilities here that you can have delivered, open quotes, you know, which ones you have to follow up on. It really keeps managing your quotes a lot easier if you're the, you know, pricing guy or you're the sales guy. So that's it for my tutorial today, and thank you for watching. If you do like these videos, please, you know, like the video and subscribe. It really helps me be able to gain an audience and keep on making these videos. So please do that. If you do want any help with SuiteCRM or installing SuiteCRM on your server, I mean, that's what I do for a living, you can contact me. My contact details are below. I'd be glad to help you. Thanks for watching.